Good morning, traders. This is Shane Scott, the moderator of Newsware's Trade Talk. At Trade Talk, we're providing you with the up-to-the-minute news on the market, along with the facts, themes, and short-term trading ideas for the day ahead. Joining me today is Bill Olson, our trading anchor, who brings over 30 years of institutional trading knowledge to our program. Let's go ahead and get things started with our markets update. U.S. futures are continuing to slip this morning, with S&P futures down 0.35%, Dow futures down 0.36%, and NASDAQ futures down 0.24%. The downward trend in markets comes as investors weigh corporate earnings, and recent spikes in virus cases hit travel stocks, including United Airlines, American Airlines, and Carnival Corp. Even with this latest pullback in major indices, global stocks have not moved much away from record highs, which prompts concern that markets have overplayed expectations for a global growth rebound as the pandemic rages through South America, Africa, and parts of Asia. Earnings season and how it gathers its pace will remain a confirmation as to whether the private sector is seeing a recovery from the pandemic. Elsewhere in markets, oil is rising higher, having jumped above $64 a barrel, and bond yields have steadied. Over in Europe, shares sank by more than 1% as tobacco stocks were hit by a report that the U.S. government is considering a rule to strip cigarettes of addictive levels of nicotine. This caused British American tobacco to plunge 6.6%. Bill, what are you seeing as far as market updates?
Well, Shane, I've been watching the S&Ps all morning long, and they were actually lower. They were down 0.50 or 0.5% earlier this morning. So they've come back a little bit, but you know what? It's they're still lower. The S&Ps they're not going to be opening up higher today. You're right. When you talked about the elevated earnings expectation, it is there. You're right when you talk about the global rise in the coronavirus cases being a concern. I mean, you look at just Japan. You saw what happened in their markets overnight. They were down almost 2%. Why? Because they may be increasing their lockdown measures, and you got 3 months to go before the Olympics. So that's not a positive overseas. And the State Department came out, and they're increasing their international travel advisory, which is going to be significantly impacting international travel. I mean, they put about 80% of the countries out there on this list. I'm watching the FANG stocks. They're all in the red this morning. There's no significant economic reports due out. Give that market a bounce today. My feeling is one of the key sectors to watch today is really the tobacco industry. Biden administration is now apparently doing discussions about regulating the amount of nicotine levels in cigarettes. They want to regulate them to a non-addictive levels. That's how cigarette manufacturers make their money. They're selling an addictive product. And if you make it a non-addictive levels on the nicotine, it's going to be bad for that industry. So you got to keep an eye on that story, that developing story.
Well, let's look at earnings to watch today. Bill, what are we seeing as far as earnings go?
Well, there's a lot of earnings that came out that we need to just kind of talk about. I mean, IBM delivered a good solid earnings beat. They beat by 14 cents on higher revenue. They're really accounting for about 25 points in the Dow on the upside this morning. United Airlines, these guys missed by 45 cents on lower revenue. If you recall yesterday, they said they're going to be in the favorable end on a bad earnings report. Well, they weren't. Bad earnings report is a bad earnings report. Xerox, ticker XRX, X-ray, Richard, X-ray. They missed by 8 cents on higher revenue. Johnson & Johnson, ticker J&J, John, Nancy, John. They beat by 25 cents on higher revenue. And you look at the stock today, and Johnson & Johnson is down 0.5%. Philip Morris, they released their earnings this morning. That's ticker PM, Paul Mary. They delivered a 17 cents beat on higher revenue. Travelers Group, that's ticker TRV, Tom, Richard, Victor. They delivered a 36 cent beat on higher revenue. And you see that stock up 1.41% this morning.
Any insights as far as upcoming earning announcements?
Well, you've got a number of companies coming out this afternoon. One of the biggest ones that is coming out is obviously Netflix, and that's the one everyone's going to be watching for. I mean, the expected price range yesterday for the stock when it came out was $40. Now it's down to $32. It's down to $32.64 is the estimated move, or 5.89%. Call volume was pretty strong. You're looking at a 1.65 call to put ratio. Yesterday, the weekly options were a 2.15 call to put ratio. So that's interesting. Interactive Brokers, IBKR, they're priced for a 7.83% move. Their call volumes, were attractive. They were 2.42 call put ratio. Little concern there because of the GameStop frenzy, which may affect their earnings as margin calls may have eaten into their profits this quarter, but we're going to have to really wait and see for those results. And I'm keeping an eye on CSX, Charlie Sam X-Ray. They're priced for a 3.68% move when they release. Kind of negative here. I'm not showing really good indications on the data, so I'll be watching for a little bit of a sell-off on CSX as it heads into earnings today.
Moving into our economic reports, Bill, what are we seeing as far as reports go?
It's really light. As I was saying, the calendar's light. Is 8:55 a.m. this morning. We have the Red Book on retail sales. That's it. I mean, it's as light as it gets without it being zero.
Well, let's talk about our morning critical insights. Starting things off with one on Domino's Pizza, short and simple. Ticker DPC. It's opened its first store in Ghana today, part of their effort to move into global markets. Domino's share price is down 0.29% in pre-market. In other news, Pentair, ticker PNR, is acquiring Ken's Beverage for $80 million in cash. In other news, Philip Morris, ticker PM, one we just spoke about a little bit, has reported that cigarette heated tobacco unit shipment volume is down 3.7%. The company also reported that over 14 million cigarette smokers had switched to IQOS, which basically is vapor alternative. Philip Morris' share price is down 0.39% in pre-market. News on Eli Lilly, ticker LLY, and Insight, ticker INCY. The companies announced results from their phase 3 study of their alopecia treatment. The treatment met primary endpoints with significant hair regrowth results. Lilly's share price is down 0.3%, while Insight's is up 0.39% in pre-market. In other news, Canadian National, ticker CNI, plans to make a $30 billion topping bid for Kansas City Southern, ticker KSU. The offer was raised to $325 a share, including $200 in cash. KSU's share price is up 15.53% in pre-market. In other news, BWX Technologies, ticker BWTX, has received a $2.2 billion contract from the U.S. Navy for a nuclear propulsion program. BWX is up 0.49% in pre-market. News on Facebook, ticker FB. Facebook is aiming to launch its much contested cryptocurrency project Diem this year. Plans are in place to launch a pilot with a stablecoin pegged to the US dollar. The project will start in a limited capacity with main focus placed on transactions between individual consumers. The project is still undecided on whether to allow an option for users to buy goods. Facebook's share price is down 0.23% in pre-market. News on PayPal, ticker PYPL. PayPal will launch a new local wallet in China to facilitate cross-border payments. The company is working to launch a wallet and will focus on international transactions. PayPal's share price is down 0.28% in pre-market. Lastly, for me, one on Tesla, ticker TSLA. Tesla was singled out in an article written in China's state-run Xinhua news agency that said the quality of its vehicles must meet market expectations in order to win consumers' trust. Tesla's share price is down 0.62% in pre-market. Bill, what are you seeing as far as this morning's news?
Shane, I break my news alerts down into specific segments. I do events and I do sector based. I have rumors. I have hot headlines. I break news down into usable formats where I can react quickly. I look over my FANG alert this morning, and the first thing that I see is the story about these senior executives from Alphabet, Google, Apple. They're going to be testifying tomorrow in front of Congress on antitrust concerns related to their app store. So it's a developing story. It's one to watch. Netflix, is slated to report their Q1 results after the bell today, and it's expecting to report a profit of $2.99 per share on sales of $7.13 billion. Subscriptions soared during the COVID-19 pandemic. We all know that. But now the company's got to contend with people, who are maybe possibly leaving or moving to other services. So we're going to have to see how Netflix holds up when they release their earnings this afternoon. Something on Amazon, I see that the union down there in Alabama, they're protesting and they're going to appeal that Amazon election vote that was held last week to not unionize its members in that facility. Tesla, I caught that story, how they were chided by China over their vehicle safety. And of course, we have that Apple event today where it's expected to unveil its latest high-end iPads along with other new products and possibly a new subscription-based options for its podcast app. One other thing I think I should mention is PayPal, PYPL. You talked about cryptocurrencies with Facebook. I caught that story as well, but PayPal's out there because their Venmo, which this is their peer-to-peer service, which is owned by PayPal, it has started allowing users to buy and hold and sell cryptocurrencies on its app. So that's going to be interesting to watch to see what happens to cryptocurrencies and PayPal today.
That is interesting.
I go on and I look at my Dow Jones 30 alert, and I see Disney. Major League Baseball reports a 12% year-over-year growth in MLB viewership, and it's only been 18 days into the season. So it's kind of positive for shares of Disney. Johnson & Johnson, we talked about that earnings release. It's really not doing much for shares of the stock, even though it was positive. You're seeing the stock down 0.5%. They're also contending with that opioid trial that's going on. And, that pause in vaccine distributions are still a concern. Stock's still holding up well above the 161 level. So it's not really a screaming buy as of yet. Boeing, I see that Dubai Aerospace Enterprises, they announced an order for 15 Boeing 737 MAX planes. And that's a positive for Boeing. And this order is apparently worth $1.8 billion. I also noticed there was an order for Boeing from the Israeli Air Force as well that came out this morning. Just a quick rumor here that I saw, according to satellite images, Russia's expanding its forces build up on the border of Ukraine. They're also putting a number of fighter jets into the area. My option headlines, I see two interesting ones. One is on Roku, ticker ROKU, Richard Oscar Kilo Under. Their 30-day option implied volatility is at 64. 52-week range is 55 to 101. So it's worth taking a note at. Snow, which is Snowflake, ticker SNOW. Their 30-day option implied volatility is at 41. 52-week range here is 34 to 63. So let's keep an eye on shares of Snow today. My guidance alert was going off, mainly because a lot of earnings came out. You see Philip Morris, ticker PM, Paul Mary. They say their 2021 guidance is assuming net revenue growth of 5 to 7%. You look at Procter & Gamble, ticker PG. They're reaffirming their guidance of 8 to 10% growth in its core EPS for 2021. Johnson & Johnson expects the 2021 adjusted EPS to be between $9.30 to $9.45. This is up compared to its previous guidance of $9.25 to $9.45. So they upped the low end of the guidance by a nickel. Ticker DOV, this is Dover Corp, David Oscar Victor. Their adjusted guidance, they increased it to $6.75 to $6.85. The previous guidance was $6.25 to $6.45. So you look at you look at Dover this morning, and it's already trading higher by 3.78%. And that's a direct reaction to that earnings announcement. Play, which is Dave & Buster's, ticker PLAY. They also came out, and they're kind of pre-announcing good earnings here. They raised their first quarter revenue to $252 million to $257 million. The previous estimates were $210 million to $220 million. So that's a pretty substantial beat, which is why you're seeing the stock up 1.61% this morning. Events, Today, Advanced Auto Parts, ticker AAP, Apple Paul. They're having an analyst and investors virtual strategy update this morning at 10. And as I mentioned earlier, Apple is having its spring loaded event today as well.
Well, moving into our trade talk picks for today, I'm picking Whirlpool, ticker WHR. This is an earnings play. They're set to release tomorrow with an EPS estimate of $5.41. They announced that they're raising their quarterly dividend 12% to $1.40 this morning, and the board approved an additional $2 billion a share to its repurchasing program. And lastly, it's priced for a 6% move. So this is all good news, and they're already up a little bit in pre-market. So we can definitely see some positive momentum on this one. So that's my pick. What's yours looking like, Bill?
I'm going with Stride, which is ticker LRN, Larry, Richard, Nancy. The earnings announcement is expected this afternoon. The option volumes are positive. You're talking about a 2.17 call put ratio. This one could have some move. If I can get in at the $30.50 level, I'd be really happy, because I think this thing's going to hit 32, 33 when the earnings are announced. So I'm going with ticker LRN today.
Moving into what's hot off the press, this is the news that's hitting the tape as we speak that will be moving the stocks today. Let's go ahead and get into it. So looking at our newswire alerts and seeing everything streaming in, which are the ones we should be letting traders know about, Bill?
Let's talk about AutoNation, ticker AN, Apple Nancy. It's on track to open 5 new AutoNation USA stores this year. Hey, you see a headline on Nike, and Nike and Adidas could suffer worse than first thought because of that cotton issue in China.
Lottery.com entered into an MOU with Voyager Digital for payments platform integration.
Even the bonds and the tobacco. Here's one. Tobacco bonds drop as U.S. considers cutting nicotine levels in cigarettes.
Kohl's, ticker KSS, they've partnered with Tommy Hilfiger on men's sportswear.
Oh, here's an interesting one. Ticker AX, Apple X-Ray. That's Exo Financial. They're going to be acquiring E-Trade's advisor services.
When we spoke about a little earlier, Kansas City Southern, ticker KSU, they've been soaring into a bidding war after the Canadian National Railway made that $33.7 billion offer. It's up over 16% in pre-market now.
Travelers Group, that's ticker TRV, they declared quarterly dividend of 88 cents.
Fisker, ticker FSR, has extended gains following a new buy rating at B of A of up to 10% in pre-market. There's an interesting one on Afterpay. Looks like that's ticker AFTPY or ticker APT. Lululemon, Pandora, and Shiseido, they've all partnered with Afterpay for spring shopping season.
Minneapolis is bracing for a verdict and potential unrest after the jury deliberations and that murder trial.
Virgin Galactic, ticker SPCE, is down 8.5% in pre-market following a holding sale by Cathie Woods.
See that she's taking that money and buying some cryptocurrency type plays. Abbott Labs, ticker ABT, they reported Q1 worldwide medical device sales are up 13.1%.
Anything else interesting for you, Bill?
Oh, that's all I'm seeing.
Same here. So that's going to do it for what's hot off the press. But traders, keep in mind, you can receive the same breaking stories we do simply by subscribing at newsware.com. Check us out for a free trial today. It will definitely up your trading game. Moving into our scoreboard, talking about how our picks did from Monday, I had AutoNation, ticker AN. It opened at $97.20, but it almost immediately, and I mean less than a minute, dropped down to $97.07. And even just after that, another minute later, it's down to $96.37. It was a quick drop. So chances are you actually probably got off at a better deal than just at the open on this one. And from there, the stock made some nice gains and steady all the way up to its highest just before the close at $98.22 for up to a 1.91% gain, a little bit higher if you got in a tad later than that. But yeah, it was a good high 1 to 2% gain for us. So pretty good move for us. How'd yours end up doing, Bill?
I did okay. I went with Apple yesterday. The stock opened up higher than I expected, at 133.51, and then it just shot up to 135.47. But, by 12:30, the stock moved lower, and it was back near that opening print. It was actually at 133.75, and I was really looking for a rally in the afternoon, and sure enough, it came, and it closed out of the day at 134.86. That easily beat the $1 expectation for the day, so I did good.
Nice. Good picks all around. That's going to do it for us here at Trade Talk. But traders, you know what to do. Let's get out there. Let's make some green.